What's up, YouTube? I finally made it out to Lake Superior, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of gold prospecting. So I've been out here the last couple of days. Today's actually my last day up here, but we have a beautiful morning out here on the lake. Water's just a little bit less calm than it has been the last couple of mornings, but I'm feeling really optimistic, and I know we're going to find some good gold. So let's get out there and find it. Right here we have a pretty good deposit of black sand. I don't know that I necessarily want to test in this area right now, but it is not hard on these beaches to locate nice thick deposits of black sand. As you can see, this follows down quite a ways, this little band of it here. But I had an area that we were doing pretty good in down the beach. So I'm gonna head back to that area, do a few tests in that area, and we'll see how we turn out. The water here is super clear. So apart from gold prospecting, this is also an awesome place to rock hound. There's agates and all kinds of goodies that you can find looking through here. So when you're up here, you'll run across layers that look really promising. But I could tell from experience, not just here, but other places as well. Test is the name of the game. So I kind of tested some real thick black sand layers when I first got here the other day. They were maybe about that thick, and I thought I was going to have some gold in the pan for sure. And a 3-finger pinch, I had nothing. So you definitely got to test around. There's black sand all over, but your concentration of gold in it is going to vary a lot. So definitely, before you just set up and start panning through material, you want to make sure that you're in an area that has a reasonably high concentration of specks. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time for a little bit of gain. So I'm going to dig down into this spot that I was at the other day, and we're going to get this layer tested out and try and find a good spot in it. Okay, there's a little bit we got to take off the top here to get down to where I'm talking about. There we go, I hit a cobble. So there's a layer down there right where that cobble is, and that's what we want to be testing at. It's actually a little bit deeper in this area than it was when I was down the beach a little bit to get to that cobble layer. But that's where I was finding some pretty decent gold yesterday. So we're going to start off by testing this area, that layer here, and we're going to see what we have in this pan. And get that slurried and work off all the lights, knock it on back, and see if we have any gold in this pan. Now, yesterday, somebody a little bit farther down the beach from me, they found a pretty nice little picker. Nice piece of gold, especially for the beach. And so that was pretty close to the surface too. It wasn't even down like where I'm digging at. So we'll do some tests in this area, and I may go test some other deposits down the beach, maybe some surface deposits, and see if we can get just as lucky and find a picker. Reliquify that. Lock it on out. Get it shaped, get the lights to the top. Just rinse it out. We're not trying to spend too much time with these test pans. Don't want to spend all day doing tests. Basically, the goal is to work fast and to identify if you're in a good area and then run volume. So let me knock this back and we'll see what we have in this pan. Well, surprisingly, that pan wasn't good. So I'm actually going to go a little bit deeper, because I think that this area that I'm in, that layer that I'm looking for, is actually a little bit further down. So I'll do another test or two out of this particular hole, and then if we're not doing good there, I'll move on to another spot. There we go. I think that's what I was looking for. There's definitely a layer that I scooped from down in there. deeper, which I'm not finding as many cobbles in this area, but that right there is pretty decent black sand. There's a little bit of blonde mixed in with it, but we're gonna throw that in the pan and knock around back. I've got one nice speck there, but that's probably not enough to make me want to stay here. I could go a little bit deeper yet, but I know I was doing better down yonder over by where my backpack is, so I'm gonna go back over there and see if I can relocate that that same area that was paying good yesterday. Okay, try another area here. Oh yeah, I hit the cobble there. I can feel it down there. Now that right there, that is that layer that I was on yesterday. That was a good layer. So that's a lot darker than what we just pulled out of that other hole, and I have a high degree of confidence that that is going to be good for us. I don't ever remember Lake Superior feeling so warm in all my life. It has been very awesome out here. I've been able to just stay in the water most of the day, banjo panning, and had no issues. I had a few nice pieces in that pan. I got a nice piece gleaming up there in the corner there, if you can see that. So I think that area, I'm back onto that streak. Some areas of it are better than others. And what I've been doing is I get my hand down in there because it's really hard to get your hole to not fall in. So I get down there once I kind of get the main hole dug straight down, and I've just been working sideways and scooping out with my hands and just grabbing as much of that layer as I can. And I can pretty much scoop that black layer right out and just put it right in this pan, and then I'm going to take it on over and I'll work it through a couple handfuls at a time through that banjo pan there, and we'll do a cleanup on this first banjo pan worth of material, and we'll see how much we have in there. But yesterday it was doing pretty good for me, and I'm hoping we're going to be just as good today. Just reach up in there, pull out a scoop like that, flip it on over. Having a hard time keeping as much of the blonde sand out of it as I'd like, but for the most part I'm getting some really nice areas. And I was rinsing my hand off yesterday, and I was finding gold that was stuck to my hands just from doing this. Okay, well, that should be good enough for now to get started. We'll get the banjo pan down there to the water's edge. We'll get this down there to the water's edge, and it's about time to get wet. Okay, so I just put a couple of handfuls in there into the banjo pan. Get out where I'm deep enough to submerge it. And then we're off to the races. And I can rip through those couple handfuls pretty quick. I don't worry if there's a little bit left in there yet. Stratify and pour. And speed is the name of the game here today, so even though we might not have the highest catch rate, if we can put the volume through and do this nice and fast, we can stack up some decent cons. And we'll just keep working that down until we're done with that pan, and then what I'll do, I'll clean the banjo pan out into that pan, and we'll see what we ended up with. And what I do, I just fill that pan up with a little bit of water, pop that mat out, put it in there. Okay, do that. Rinse out as much as we can out of that nugget trap that's up there. Get that nice and clean. Knock it back, hit the bowl. Run that mat through a couple of times, maybe give it a little bit of a shake. There we go. And that's how much we've reduced that material down that we started with, where it was about, you know, to this level in the pan. Through banjo panning, we've got it down to that little material. So now I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna dump my excess water off. I'm gonna get it all concentrated to one side, and I'm gonna start walking it back. Now I'm doing this fairly quick, but I can already see gold. There's definitely some small pieces that I'm seeing in these corners, and they're washing back. So I'm gonna put all this through a cleanup sluice anyway. So I'm kind of more so just knocking this back, not to separate it and snuffer it up right now. There's a decent piece there too. But more so just to kind of get an idea of whether the area that I'm in is good. There's another decent piece. And as long as that's good, we'll stay in that area. We'll keep digging from that layer there. But if I feel like it's starting to go cold, we'll go test out another area and change. It actually was a little bit less. There's, you know, some pieces that are in there, but it was a little bit less than I did in most of my average pans yesterday. There's a couple fine pieces up there, a few more pieces that were hidden. So overall, not too bad, but I might try a hole a little bit over, or maybe I'll try one more pan out of that area. But if it's about the same or less, we'll dig a hole over a little bit, and we'll keep trying to find the best spot. Here are my concentrates from the last couple of days. I've got maybe I don't know, a sixth of this 2-gallon bucket. So I've been doing some work out here. It should be one of my better cleanups for sure. Okay, there's clean out number 2. Now I have a little bit more cons this time, and I think this is probably how I'll do it. For purposes of speed, but also for purposes of you know, capturing more gold. I think I'm not going to work it as far down on the banjo pan. Once I get to where there's just a little bit of material left into this bowl here, that's when I'm going to go ahead and just go for a dump. And I'll just knock this back, make sure that I'm still in a decent area, and as long as I am, I'll just keep working that that same layer, that pay layer that I'm on. But here in a little bit, I think I'll work my way down the beach and just test a few of the surface deposits that are down there. And also, somebody yesterday told me of a spot that they're doing really well down yonder, so I'll probably check that out too. There are a few really nice pieces in there, and I washed back quite a bit more than that, and some finer stuff too. So I know that I'm still in a good area. I'm able to go through this stuff pretty quickly with the banjo pan. So I'm gonna do a couple more batches here, and then we'll head down beach and test that area out down there that somebody let me know about yesterday. My goodness, is it beautiful out here this morning. And I practically have the whole beach to myself. I mean, the other couple of days that I was out here, there was a lot of people out here. But this morning, I don't see anybody else but me. There's only one other truck in the parking lot, and this is just nice and peaceful. I mean, it's nice to be out here with other people too, but it is just nature's beauty out here. This is God's country. It's a good time. I had a lot of fun up here this weekend. Even if it's not enough gold to get rich, it's enough gold to put a heck of a smile on your face, and it is just so much fun. So I think this is probably one of the best hobbies in the world. Okay, that pan had a few less pieces than the last one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill that hole in, and we're gonna look for greener pastures down yonder. So as with any type of hobby that you're doing on the beach, always be courteous, pick up after yourself, pick up your trash, fill in your holes, all that stuff. Pick up trash that's not yours if you see it. Of course, you'll always run across something, you know, just leave it better than you found it is the best way to think about it. So we're filling in our hole there, and we're gonna be moving on. I just got to get this in the cons bucket, load on up all my goodies here. Don't want to forget anything on the beach, and we're on our way. There's a nice area that people were working yesterday with pretty good success. But I think that this area's had enough attention. I'm gonna work my way on down further yet. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. And on this channel, I do a lot of gold prospecting, metal detecting, and in the winter months, I even do maple syrup. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, consider becoming a subscriber to my channel. All right, well, we're getting down here to a spot that I want to test, so I'm gonna set up here in a minute and we're gonna see if we can find some gold down here. All right, I've seen some surface tests down through here, and I've done a few surface tests myself, and haven't really run across too much on the surface, but that's similar to how it was down there. I'm gonna dig down now, and I'm gonna see if I can locate that same layer that's sitting right on top of the cobble. And if I can find that black layer again, that nice thick black layer, we're gonna sample out of that and see if it's any different. My goodness, I seriously don't think I've ever felt Lake Superior so warm in my life as it has been these last 3 days. This has been a real blessing. It's been super comfortable to come out here and to wade out and be panning right in the lake. So I remember swimming in it as a kid. It doesn't bother you as much when you're a kid, but it was definitely colder feeling than this. Just gonna get that light stuff washed off of there and then just do a real quick knockback of it. Like I said, I'm not trying to spend all the time in the world with recovery as far as testing is concerned. I just want to identify the areas that have the highest concentration is all. All right, we'll wash a little bit more of that off. We'll pull that back, see if we got any gold. Even though I went fairly fast, I didn't really see anything. I saw a piece that might have been, but definitely not like the pans that I was testing in that other area. I'm gonna dig just a little bit deeper out of that hole, and I'm gonna see if I can get that hole big enough to see if I can see the distinct layer down there on top of the cobble. If not, I'm gonna start looking at another area. I went pretty deep on this one, and I was finding some decent black sand down there, but just not yielding. So I fill this puppy in, and we're gonna continue the search. Until just a couple of years ago, they were allowing power sluicing up here. And a couple of years ago, when I ordered my gold cube with trommel, I actually ordered it for Lake Superior. I was so excited to get up here and just run some serious volume up here through that cube. And unfortunately, it was literally like 2 weeks after I got the gold cube in the mail, I start hearing, oh, power sluicing's been banned, power sluicing's been banned, and looked into it, and sure enough, they had banned the sluicing here on the beach. I'm hoping they'll bring it back at some point, but even coming up here and hand panning, you can still do pretty well. The concentration is a lot higher than most other places in Michigan, so even with the restriction, it's still definitely worth the drive. Had a heck of a lot of fun up here. I'm not sure if that's a really big dog or if that's a wolf print, but whatever that sucker is, that is a big print. And it's kind of weird because there's like two of them close together, but whatever it is, it has some big claws. You can see some big claws coming off of those toes. Now this looks like an area where somebody spent a lot of time. You can tell there's some holes filled in there. Probably some holes filled in over here. So this might be a good area to try. I've seen a lot of places between here and where I was where people had tested, but not really many spots where people had stopped to dig. So I'm gonna take that as a sign, and I'm gonna dig down here too, see if I can find a spot that hasn't already been dug, and see if there's a good pay layer down there. Oh yeah, I think they were doing the surface. I was filling my hole back in, and I saw a nice jet black layer there, so I took a little scoop off of it, and I'm gonna set that down and try and get the camera to focus in. But I was just doing a real fast pan of it, and there is a pretty decent little piece of gold there, and I haven't even washed back the majority of that. So my thought is all that activity over there was probably doing some surface work. So I'm gonna work the surface over here. I'm gonna Tell you what I'll do actually, since I saw a decent sized piece, I'm gonna probably fill this pan up with some of that thick black sand. We'll banjo pan it on out because it only would take me a few minutes to go through it, and then we'll just see how much we end up with, if it's comparable to where we came from, or you know, if it's more or less. So it's starting to get hot out here. Somebody looked at the weather for up here. I didn't check the weather myself, but they looked at it, said it was supposed to be like 89 degrees today. So it definitely feels way hotter than yesterday and way hotter than Friday. But we still got the beach pretty much all to ourselves, and it is just beautiful out here. All right, let's get that banjo pan going, and we'll see if we can find some good gold down here. So right here was where that nice black streak was. It looks like there's you know, a pretty decent little layer of it. So I'm just going through and cutting it out like pie pieces, trying to chase that streak, get as much of it to run to the banjo pan as possible. I like to grab these flat cobbles too, because I have no idea what's had the opportunity to fall onto the top of that rock and stay there. So I usually put those in. As you can see, there's actually a nice layer of black sand below the blonde sand that's stuck to the rock, and I wash those off in my banjo pan. Okay, here goes nothing. All right, I'll work through the rest of this pan, and then what we'll do is I'll get the camera back on and I'll show the cleanup of how much we ended up with out of there. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this pan because I saw quite a bit of small pieces of gold in the actual banjo bowl portion of the pan when I was doing that. So that's got to be a good sign. Hopefully we had some bigger chunks that were caught in that nugget trap and in the mat. But we'll find out here in just a minute when we go through these cons. Dump some of that water off there. That's a little bit of blonde in there yet. I don't really want to pan too much off of it in a hurry like that and risk really losing any of my gold. But I'm just going to kind of do a real quick knocking back of it. We're going to see if that area is any good or not. When I'm in a hurry, I have a tendency, there we go, we got a piece there. When I'm in a hurry, I have a tendency to use like this hybrid technique. Normally when I'm working black sand down, I, finishing it, I come up to the side, or, I tilt the pan back even, come up to both sides, meet the water in the middle and draw back. But when I'm in a hurry, I noticed I kind of, I have like this rock and swirl motion, which it's faster, but it doesn't keep the gold from walking down as much. We have a nice piece in there. That's gonna go down. That's okay. I'm just kind of counting them as I go. I keep seeing some more pieces that are revealing themselves up there. So I know we have more in there. Oh, just had another big piece kind of fly through. A couple of small pieces there. I still see some more that are kind of glinting through as I'm continuing to clear that black sand away. Oh yeah, not too bad. Piece, 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 piece. And then a whole bunch that I had already washed back just by doing that real quick. But what I've been able to determine is that out of the spots that we've tested since we left that original spot, this has definitely been the highest yield. So I don't have that much time left here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dump this in the cons bucket, and we're probably gonna run through a few more of these pans with the banjo pan, and then get them in the cons bucket, and I'll be about ready to hit the road, I think, at that point, and knock this 7-hour drive out. Well, this pan had about well over a dozen colors in it, so I'm in a decent spot. So I hate to leave, but I got a long drive, so I'm gonna do one more batch with this banjo pan, and then I got a long walk back up the beach to get to where I parked. So I'm gonna start packing her on in here after this next batch. Okay, well, we got it all packed up and we're heading on in now. I ended up with a pretty decent amount of concentrates here, so I know that there's going to be a bunch of gold in there. Like I said earlier, I think this is probably going to be my heaviest cleanup I've ever done, and I'm really looking forward to that. So stay tuned. We'll get these concentrates home, and in a few days, once I get back in the swing of things, we'll get everything cleaned up and see how much gold we ended up with. Stick around. All right, we're back home now. I got my cons bucket here, and I am ready and excited to get this cleaned up and see how much gold we ended up with. So for the first time, I'll be using this Flower Gold Wizards cleanup sluice. I was actually up there this weekend, this last weekend, for an event up there that Jason was having, and had a blast, really fun time, and I was very fortunate enough to actually win this sluice in a drawing. So we're going to be trying it on out. Everybody says really good things about it, and I expect that we're going to have a really good time using it. So without further ado, let's get a scoop of these cons and run them through this sluice. All right. I may need to speed the flow up on this. I'm just gonna kind of take it slow. I can actually already see a piece of gold right up there at the front. Okay, we're just gonna feed this thing low and slow. Oh yeah, I see a nice piece of gold there. See a nice piece of gold there. All right, so it's catching the gold. We're just gonna take some time. We're gonna go nice and slow. I brewed a pot of coffee, and just gonna spend the afternoon running cons. So I just panned through my tailings, and I'm happy to say that I did not find any gold. So far so good. I'm just gonna keep feeding it low and slow, and we'll keep monitoring it. I'm seeing tons of gold that's showing up in here. Nice pieces up in here. I'm even seeing some pieces up towards the front. So once I get enough to where the camera will really pick it up and show it well, I'll bring the camera over and show you how we're doing. Have just a little bit more in the bottom of the bucket to run, and then we'll do our cleanup. All right, we finished up that bucket. There's just a tiny little bit down there, but it's hard to get with the scoop, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the pan at the end, along with what we clean up out of this sluice. I went ahead and I took the speed up a little bit more. We've got some pretty good gold in there, but I just want to blow off a little bit more of this black sand. That way it's easier to go through it. So I'm gonna give this just a minute or so to run at this higher speed, and then we'll do our final cleanup. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna take and dip that into there. Clean that up as much as I can. And then I think we'll very carefully flip it around and we'll do the same thing. Looks like there's just a little bit more up there. I may need to use a toothbrush to kind of give it a scrub. Alright, flip it on over. We'll do the same thing over here. Okay. Very gently and carefully pour out the excess from this bucket. And then after that, we're going to dump it right in this pan. And that reduced that down quite a bit. There is not very much left in that now. Thankfully. Looks like there's still a little bit up in there. I don't even need the magnifying glass to know that this is going to be a real nice cleanup. So the Flower Gold Wizards Micro Gold Cleanup Sluice definitely did a really good job of reducing that down. I was catching my tailings and I was testing them, and I lost just very little gold, and that's even with only doing one cleanup for all those cons. So that worked really well. I'm going to knock the rest of this back, and I am super excited to see how much shiny we have in this pan. All in all, not too bad at all for just a couple days of hand panning on the beach up there. Beautiful weather, got to meet a lot of really cool people. I can't complain, and I found some shiny. So definitely always good to get out there and do a little bit of gold prospecting here in Michigan. Awesome, super pleased with that. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button and consider becoming a subscriber to my channel. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.